All right, guys. So we are going to be breaking down this store right here that did over $200,000 and is still running right now, but really did $90,000 in the very first month it launched. So this is the store right here. And if you haven't yet already, go back, look at the landing page section. We actually cover this landing page and the other landing page in depth. So go ahead and go through that, because what we're going to be doing right now is now going into the ad account, seeing what we can change, what went right, what went wrong. And obviously they did a lot of things right, but I also want to break down the landscape and my personal thoughts. So right off the bat, I kind of want to put a disclaimer. The reason why this person had so much success with this product, even though it's in a very competitive landscape, is because they started very early. They started early and they got a lot of data into their account. What you'll even notice in the next case study is that when you have a ton of data, when you start early, then you can actually get your account to learn your customer, and that's when you can start doing machine learning, and your account can start targeting the best times of the day, the best demographic, the best age, all of that stuff. It becomes very advanced. But I want to kind of step back and I want to analyze certain parts of this account, because what we're going to be looking at is, first of all, the shopping campaigns, which, interesting enough, if we actually look, let's look at conversion value, and then let's actually look at conversion value over cost. So it was at a 4 return on ad spend, but it only brought in $66,000 overall. And when you compare it to $200,000, I would have expected this to at least bring in probably 65% of the overall conversion value or the overall revenue. But if we look at the search campaigns, in the search campaigns, what we're going to be looking at is actually conversion value over cost. And then let's actually look at conversion value all. So if we look, this was a 5 return on ad spend with $144,000 conversion value. This is fantastic. So when I get the question, hey, should I do SCAGs or should I do shopping? Guys, you should do both, because they both have their place. Now, before I continue, I want to quickly go over actually in the search trends. So if we look at resistance bands, we can see that there was an enormous spike, right? So we see that there's a huge spike and then it kind of starts to drop off, right? Well, what's going to happen is actually, if we look beforehand, there's consistent demand. There is consistent demand, and it's actually not, it's not like a yo-yo style business or a seasonal business. But obviously, with everything going on, there was a huge spike and this person tried to capitalize on it, which is not a bad idea. But what you'll notice is every time there's a huge spike, people start piling in. It becomes very frustrating. But after a while, it will start kind of leveling off. People will start dropping off like flies, and you'll be able to kind of sell this probably more consistently, since you have a legitimate business, since you can actually leverage all the data, and you can even scale it on Facebook, and you have a lot of data inside your account. So let's actually go ahead and break down the account. And the first thing I would want to start with is actually the shopping campaigns. If we look at the shopping campaigns, the way this person structured it was bundle 3, bundle 1 and 2, and jumper shopping 1. So that's interesting, and my guess is that they separated it by SKUs. What I teach is the low to medium to high, or you can just do a low campaign and a high campaign, meaning you can get your long tail kind of keyword conversions with your one shopping campaign. You can get the other shopping campaign that is really for broad terms like resistance bands. And a good example is it will be when we go into the search campaigns. That's the way I like to structure it. But other than that, let's actually look and see what was your best campaign. So the shopping bundle 3 was your best, and it was at a 5.9 return on ad spend. And so that's interesting. And if we actually look inside the settings, I want to see what was going on here, because your budget is good. Your budget is $400 a day. You have your goal as sales, and your target ROAS is 500%. So this is really good. And if you notice, 500%, we were at a 5 return on ad spend. However, if we actually go back, let's look at this campaign right here. This one was at $250 a day at target ROAS of 300%. And if we look at the overview of what this brought in, if we see that the conversion value over cost is low, let's see. So this was a 1.9. So what you could do is, if you see that your shopping campaign is not doing as well on target ROAS, up the target ROAS. Maybe the sweet spot is 400%, maybe it's 500, and you can start getting that hyper-targeted traffic, because instead of showing up for very broad terms at different parts of the day, you'll only show up for those terms when you're most likely to convert. Google is very smart in that aspect. When you start having conversions in your account. In fact, we're going to look at a contrast example very briefly of a very similar account that was selling a very similar product but didn't reach success. And the reason why is because of the account structure and, of course, actually the landing page as well. So this is interesting. So my first recommendation would actually be, if we go into shopping campaigns, I would really give this another shot, give it another go, because you got a 5 return on ad spend right here, right? And you made $53,000. But you can probably segment this a little bit more and try some of the strategies that we talk about in the course, because these ones, even if we go into here and if I see like, are you advertising different SKUs? Is that what you were thinking to do? It's a little bit tough. Let's look at columns. Let's make sure that we have all of our conversion value over cost, all conversions. Let's apply that. And we're going to go ahead and see. So you got a 2.3 return on ad spend, but look at all these other conversions. What this tells me is that you're showing up for high converting terms and also terms that are very broad. So if we look at your keyword search terms, what you're showing up for in this specific campaign with your target ROAS at 300%, resistance bands, workouts, let's sort first by conversions, and we're going to actually look through what you were showing up for. Resistance bands, very broad. Resistance bands, workout, this is good. Exercise bands, workout bands, Amazon, interesting, tonal. So what we can do is actually see, okay, let me sort by columns, because once again, I want to see the conversion value over cost. All conversions, let's apply that. And we're going to look and see, this was at a 3 return ad spend. This one was at a 17 resistance band. So what this tells me is that there's actually some life in here. But the problem is that if you just maybe upped your machine learning a little bit, even though this is the same term, right? Resistance bands, you have resistance bands, workout, resistance band. Even though these are the same terms, when you show up and who you show up for is going to determine whether you get the sale at a 10% conversion rate or a 2%. Okay, so there is some things in the shopping campaign that I would analyze, but what I would do to be a little bit more specific on like kind of direction is, if we go into your search campaign, since this is what you kind of spent the most on, let's actually go through here a little bit and see what has been going on. So you have your brand search campaign. Let's actually sort by all of our conversions. Keywords campaign. So if we look, we see that this SCAG, this keyword campaign brought $126,000 at a 5 return on ad spend. And what we could do is we can actually take some ideas from this. 7 return on ad spend, resistance training bands. We go into here and we can see 922, wow, okay. So resistance training bands. So if I needed some new ideas for what I'm going to put in the front of my shopping campaign, this is what I would put: resistance training bands, and I would start trying to rank like crazy for this specifically. Now, of course, what you're going to rank for depends on, honestly, month to month. So if I'm looking at it overall, I'm seeing resistance training bands is the best. But if you're running this, and this is a long-term business without a spike, right, then you can look and see, okay, during Q4, what was converting the best? Okay, during the month of, let's just say, January and February, what was converting the best? And that's how you can kind of optimize your shopping campaigns and see what you should kind of rank more in each month. Now, that's a little bit more advanced, but it is an option that you can do that I've noticed really good results with. So we're going to keep going, and this is good, and I really like how you have this structured. You have your exact match, you have your modified broad match, and you have your phrase match. This is all good, and they're all very profitable. So this is good, and so I'm noticing that your search campaigns were done very well, which also tells me there is a lot of life, in my opinion, for the shopping campaign. I think you could deep dive in that one a little bit more. Resistance tube set. I like this one. This is actually very interesting. Resistance bands for arms. So let's see what other ones. Conversion rate, $44,000, $25,000. And I'm also looking at conversion rate, because that typically means high return on ad spend. 22%, ooh, 9 return on ad spend. So what was this one? Yeah, resistance tube set. Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting one, and it's an interesting kind of word, in my opinion. Like, this is not something I would think when I'm selling resistance bands. So resistance tube set, and let me make sure, if I'm to go in And hopefully you guys are finding this interesting as I'm kind of going through all of this. Let's actually see. So it does lead right to this page, and this is the page that's been working. So that's good. So let's actually see how you structured your ads. And this is good. Resistance tube set on sale, the best. Very good. Very good. You could even put resistance tube set on sale 50% off, or put some kind of number around here. Looking for a way to get fit and stay home. Very good. And you have numbers here. I like to break it up with numbers. It just makes it look a little bit more engaging to read. And so this copy overall is very good, and it's very simple. We want to have our keyword that we're advertising in our ad. So I would give your keyword, your search campaigns an A+. Like, you're doing fantastic on your search campaign. So we're gonna keep going. And this one got a 10 return on ad spend. I see a lot of life. In my opinion, I think there's a lot that still could be done. Resistance bands for arms. Like, this is really good. Like, if we look into settings, we have our bidding now at maximizing conversions. Now, it's hard for me to say when you decided to switch to this. You could have switched it maybe at last minute when you saw, like, hey, is the trend dying down? Can I switch it to a more automated bidding? That's definitely an option. But most of the time what I'll have is manual CPC, and that'll work. And then yes, we can definitely switch to conversions, and we can actually set a target cost per action. And what it gives us right here is a target CPA based on our past average inside our account or this campaign. So we can actually set it if we want to be conservative, and I'm not going to change anything in this account, but if we wanted to, we could actually set this at, let's just say 15 target CPA. I don't like to just set it at whatever it recommends unless I'm, kind of trying to scale. So I'll set it at something safer like $15 and see what happens. So that is really good. And overall, I think that your search campaigns are done very well. But if I was to change anything about this account, I would start spreading out my shopping campaigns. And then actually in the next case study that you guys are going to see, the way those shopping campaigns are done is done very, very well. So we can actually look at those as a good example. But this is interesting. And if we kind of scroll on through here, I'm curious because the conversion value over cost, let's look at, like as we kind of start approaching 3 return ad spend, 1.8, 1.2, 3. So it's kind of bouncing around, right? But if we look recently, June 13th, which was actually yesterday, I'm seeing that it's a 4 return on ad spend. So I think there's a lot of different things that you can do actually with your search terms as well, and make sure that you add more to your negative keyword list. Because if I scroll through here, I'm not seeing any exclusions, which tells me you probably don't have a very big negative keyword list, or maybe not even a keyword list at all. So that is one thing I would do. And yeah, it looks like there's no negative keywords. So that is pretty big on your shopping campaigns. And it's actually pretty crazy that you're getting pretty profitable sales. If you add a negative keyword list, this can honestly probably make you always break even, no matter what. Negative keyword lists are huge. So this is pretty interesting. And those are the couple of things I would change just inside this account. And what I want to now explain is actually a contrast example. So this example is actually inside an account that is selling very similar items. So this is Gym Goat, and they're selling also resistance bands, but other items. The reason why I wanted to bring up this example, this is actually not a student inside the course. They are a subscriber, and they submitted their store because of a YouTube video. And if we actually go in, we can see that, let's go to all campaigns, overview. We can see that they had a 1 return on ad spend, and they're selling a very similar product. Now, why is that? Well, one reason why is because the way they did it, if we look, they had a ton of different products that they're kind of doing a shotgun approach. I'm telling you right now, that approach is very inefficient, and it's gonna drain your budget like crazy. I've seen very professional looking general stores, and if you want to do a shotgun approach, you're going to be spending at least 3 to 7 times more. Meaning if you have 5, 6, 7 different products you're just kind of throwing out there, it's going to be hard to focus down. what you'll notice is that this person saw this product and they said, okay, I'm going to commit to it. And if this product doesn't do well, that's okay. That's okay, because then I'll see, what am I showing up for? Am I showing up for door gyms? Am I showing up sometimes for an ab roller? Maybe I should actually sell some type of ab type of workout instead of just a resistance bands for arms. Maybe people want abs instead. And what you'll notice is that every time you launch a campaign and launch a product, it's a win. You're either going to see that this has success, or you're going to see how to pivot. There's really no losing here. You're just going to learn, and you're going to see, oh, I can pivot it this way or that way. That is how you really reach success quickly. But if we look at this account, what I was trying to say is that it's very dangerous to have an array of products and not commit to a product. I know it's scarier saying like, oh, I'm going to commit to like 2 or 3 products. But I'm telling you, it is not easier doing 8 or 9 or 10 different products, or just kind of just throwing everything out there. Now, of course, this person didn't really, they didn't take the course. They don't really know how to do the shopping campaigns or SCAG campaigns. So, there's probably a lot of issues here, but I did want to at least kind of relay that even in the same product, same niche, you can get tremendously different results, okay? So this is a good overview of this case study. So let's actually continue to the next one.